Okay, hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
And this is...
Ask Hugo number 2.
Yeah, this is the second episode of Ask Hugo.
Sequel.
So
That means it's going to be disappointing.
Yeah. Some of you asked me some questions in the comments of the first video, and I'm going to address some of them. Most of them were bad questions.
Yeah.
But here are the least bad of the group.
The first question on today is by Kason Silver, and he asks, hashtag Ask Hugo, my question wasn't picked. Sad face, but it's not a sad face. He wrote the word sad face, so I have more respect for him. I'll try one more time. How did you two meet?
We met probably, 4 years ago now?
5.
Maybe 5 years ago. We were working at the same shitty job.
Yeah. We had the shittiest job. You can guess the job, because you didn't ask what the job was. You asked how we met. We worked at the same shitty job. Feel free to guess. And I trained you.
You did train me.
Yeah, and he thought I was a douchebag, which is accurate.
He was a huge asshole.
And then we became friends.
Yeah, and he's still a douchebag.
Yeah.
That's life.
And also we found out we lived right next door to each other, which was really interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Philip Rottingham asks, if Superman is the DC version of Jesus, what would that make Batman?
Batman is the John the Baptist of the DC universe.
Explain.
He doesn't have all the superpowers of Jesus. He doesn't have the notoriety, but he does what he feels he needs to do. And he eats bugs, much like a bat, and he gets his head cut off, much like I assume Batman will end in a similar manner.
I don't think that's how that ends.
Anyways.
Cass00078 asks, what is the worst argument for and against the Christian God?
The worst argument I have heard for God comes via Ray Comfort in his book, You Can Lead an Atheist to Evidence, but You Can't Make Him Think.
Yes.
And this I learned watching Steve's recent video series.
Steve Shives.
Yeah, an Atheist Reads series. And Ray's stance on proving God exists is, I don't have to. Everyone already knows God exists. Which is the worst argument because it's not an argument.
Right.
Which maybe that's kind of a cheating answer for me to say that, but honestly, since someone is taking that stance, I could consider that an argument. Ray says in the book, everyone knows it, you're just denying it if you say you don't believe. You really know he does.
That's weird.
I know.
It's a weird one. There's a guy on Twitter, Rocky the Rock. My Twitter peeps know what I'm talking about. He asserts that the whole time, too. That's his argument. Like, you know. It's kind of like a weird Cy 10 Bruggen-Kate spin-off where Cy is like, how do you know you're right if you can't know everything in the world? And they just like, you know he's real.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, why are you even having a discussion? Not even an argument. Why are you having a conversation with someone if you believe they're that disingenuous about their opinion in the first place? But whatever. Okay. That's the worst. What's the
worst against the existence of God? I've heard a lot of bad ones.
I would agree. This is rough because
I think all of us go through the phase of making the shit arguments, though. I'd say personally, even though it's not Ask Jake, it's the argument of evil. Because it's an easy one to make. And I get it. I get why would an all-loving... But it's usually just like, here's a starving baby! Because that's not an argument. That's just like, hey, there's a starving baby.
Right.
It's not, I guess, the argument of evil. It's how you go about using the argument of evil, in my opinion.
Right. It's tough for me, because I consider myself an agnostic atheist. I don't find myself in the position of trying to prove God doesn't exist as much as I just try and...
I'm the same.
And try and disprove claims that he does exist.
Mm-hmm.
Arguments against it, though. Then you're getting into philosophical arguments against a deity.
Mr. Melancholy asks, how did you and Jake get the idea to distribute content to the internet?
Because we felt if we stood on the street and started trying to hand people CDs of us talking, we would seem crazy.
We may have tried that. Jen? Gin? Mais? Hi guys, I'd like to know what you think about other atheists on YouTube. Like, for instance, The Amazing Atheist.
Other atheists on YouTube? I like most of them.
I like a lot of them. I think some of them are just utter shit, but I think some of them actually have good content that isn't just Reddit atheist stuff.
Right. But I think you could say that about anyone on YouTube in any field.
This is a good chance to give a shout out. Who's your top 3 favorite YouTubers?
Steve Shives.
Right.
Logicked.
Mm-hmm.
And a new person I like is Armored Skeptic. He's good.
I like him too.
Yeah. As far as The Amazing Atheist, I don't agree with him in all his opinions, but he has produced content that I have laughed at. So good on him.
Yeah.
He can be a pretty funny guy.
I like TJ. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
The Saphir Durgan I just found your channel, and I've been watching your Bible playlist, currently on Exodus, and loving them, BT dubs. I was wondering what kind of religious education you have. You two seem very knowledgeable on different religions. I have heard one of you say that you were growing up, you went to a Christian school.
Yeah, I went to a Christian school, a pretty, I would say, fundamentalist Christian school when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I get a perspective from that. I wouldn't even say that's where I gain kind of objective understanding of religion, because that's very subjective. I think that's where I get subjective knowledge of how certain religious people view the Bible. But as far as context of the Bible and history, that comes from, for at least for me, independent research, basically.
Yeah.
Plus, doing this on YouTube for a while, you'd learn stuff and you watch videos. Not to say that's an end-all, be-all. It's not. I know Jake took, the Bible as literature class in college. But,
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just stuff you kind of pick up. I don't know. I know a lot of random stuff anyway, but...
Yeah, a lot of 80s pop culture references that outdate you.
Okay, last question, because I'm sick of listening to these.
LVK asks, Dear Hugo, what's your favorite Jack Chick tract?
That is a fucking awesome question, because honestly, I think that changes sometimes, because every time I think I've found the one that is the worst...
There's a new one.
There's a new one, because there's hundreds of them. There's hundreds of them. I'd have to say the one that a lot of people know, called, at least for right now, because there are certainly ones I haven't seen yet, Big Daddy, which is their more famous evolution tract. And it's the most stereotypical anti-evolution pamphlet you could ever imagine. It's a student in a classroom, and there's a professor, and the student argues with him about evolution, and he makes every terrible argument you can possibly make, and it's just beautiful.
It's basically going to be the sequel to God Is Not Dead.
Yeah, and hopefully someday we'll be able to go over that. I'm still hoping we can get someone really good to come on.
I've asked Richard Dawkins, for the record, I've asked him like 3 times.
I know. I want to find...
Thunderfoot, too.
I want to find someone who has a really solid base in evolutionary biology and can explain things better than we can.
Yeah.
Because, don't get me wrong, I understand it, but I'm not an expert in it, and I think there are people who can address the points in it much better than we can. Not to say we can't. I mean, we could be funny about it, but I think with things like that, it's good to get
I think
someone...
if we can make the dick jokes and someone else can make the science, that'd just be perfect.
Yeah. So, that's all the questions for this one. If anyone wants to ask me more questions, do that in the comments.
Good questions.
Good ones. I think we said this last time, too. You failed.
Right.
Good questions.
You're asking questions like, how can you count to potato?
Not a good question.
No, I mean, sure, you might get one person to chuckle to themselves right before they masturbate because they're on the internet. But not us.
No. So,
we've heard it all.
Asking me questions. Don't ask Jake. He will not answer your questions. He does not want to talk to you.
Right. You could try, but it won't work.
Yeah. So, thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been Ask Hugo.
Don't fucking ask me questions.